This is a podcast by the News Minute, and you are listening to South Central.
Hello and welcome to South Central, a TNM podcast where we put the South at the center. I am Dhanya Rajendran, your host. Joining me in the studio, it's actually a full studio this week, is the reporting head of the News Minute, Pooja Prasanna.
Hello, after so long, right? We have like 4 people in the studio.
Yes, joining us is Anisha Sheth, our Karnataka bureau chief. Anisha hates coming on South Central or any video for that matter. But it is when Anisha appears that people write to us the most saying that she speaks so wonderfully, Anisha.
Good to be back. And I come only because you make me come on the show.
And joining her is Shivasundar sir, activist and writer. Also been on South Central before this. But last time we called you, you couldn't turn up.
Yeah, last time was...
you were in Maddur.
Yeah.
You had gone. In fact, both of you had gone to Maddur.
But we didn't
She went
meet
for
in the
reporting.
Same time, is it? Oh, okay. Huh.
In this week's episode, we look at why the Socio-Educational Survey, wrongly called as the caste census, has become a political minefield in Karnataka. And then, an important question. Should movie ticket prices be capped? Okay, now before we go to the headlines with Pooja, I have 2 small announcements to make. One is a reporting fund, which I told you about last time. It's called the shady business of stolen footage. Basically, in India, we're always saying buy CCTV camera so that you can keep track of crime. Even, let's say, an altercation inside a theater, whether somebody's doing movie piracy, security at home. But what is happening to this footage? Many times, footages are being hacked and they are being uploaded on the internet. They're being sold in markets. That is CCTV footage inside your house, inside theaters, inside PGs, hostels. So we have an entire investigation which will start rolling out from the 1st or 2nd week of October. But that reporting can take place only if you contribute to the reporting fund. So there is a link in the description. It's called a shady business of stolen footage. Do contribute to the reporting fund. And the second thing that I want to say is that this month we are running a bit low on the subscriptions. Understandable, it's a month of festivals. People are busy buying things for festivals. But don't forget the news organization that you want to support. And if that's the News Minute, do take a subscription. It's just 500 rupees per month for the News Minute and News Laundry subscription. And this week, we also have a very interesting conversation between former Chief Justice of India, D.Y. Chandrachud and Srinivasan Jain, an interview in which there is pushback. Unlike a lot of other interviews that you have seen of D.Y. Chandrachud, but that's going to be behind a paywall. So let that be an incentive for you. Take the subscription, watch the interview and write to us.
Yeah, there are so many videos of News Laundry that are behind the paywall. You get access to all of it. We put out very regular stories, deep, in-depth stories behind paywall. And if you keep thinking that every week both of them come, they ask us to become subscribers, it means a lot because this is a clean way of doing journalism. It is in public interest, funded by public. So make sure that you understand the spirit in which we are asking you and become subscribers. It means a lot to both of us, so make sure that you do it.
Okay, so after that, headlines.
Starting with Karnataka, Hindutva groups torch a truck in Belagavi for allegedly transporting beef. The police have arrested 9 people now. The truck that was allegedly used to transport meat was intercepted and set on fire by members of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Bajrang Dal. Belagavi, as many of you know, is a border district. It borders Karnataka on one side. It's in Karnataka. There is Maharashtra on the other side, very close to Goa as well. Now, the police have said that members of the Vishwa Hindu Parishad and Bajrang Dal stopped the truck on suspicion that it was carrying beef. And they say that it could be around 5 tons. The mob assaulted the driver after claiming to have found several tons of beef inside. They torched the vehicle, and by the time the police arrived, the truck had been completely gutted.
So I think this problem is reoccurring in a lot of places. Another colleague of ours was saying that in Hubli, etc., a lot of the shops have shut down because the people who transport meat are being continuously harassed. But this, I think, is a incident like this is happening after a long time, right? A truck being set on fire.
Yeah.
At least last 2-3 years, there's been nothing like this.
Dharmasthala case, Chinnaya records new statement before magistrate. Timurodi externed for a year. Chinnaya, for those who are not aware, is the person who we used to call as whistleblower before. He's the complainant. And Mahesh Timurodi is an activist who's been campaigning for justice for Saujanya for a long time, and he's been active in this case too. Dhanya, what are the developments from the court that we can report?
Okay, so we can't be reporting everything because the statement is still going on before the magistrate. But what we do know is that Chinnaya has now told the court, in a sort of a U-turn from his earlier statement, that he did bury bodies, but it was not as many, and not all were illegal, or at least most were legal. And he said that there were few people who forced him to make exaggerated claims. This is what he's told the magistrate again. But in another development, the SIT has found skulls and skeletal remains in 2 different places in Dharmasthala. These were, now whether that will be investigated, we do not know, considering the fact that the SIT's mandate is to investigate what Chinnaya told them, right? And wherever the exhumation took place at the spots identified by Chinnaya, only at 2 places skeletons were found. But his externment is a bit of a strange one, as Shivasundar was saying, that he's been asked to go to a different district.
He is asked to go to a small town called Manvi in Raichur district, which is around some 600 kilometers from Mangalore. As I know, the commissioner can ask him to leave the district or not enter the district. They cannot specify a particular place to go. I think that is a very, very
Strange development.
very strange thing. I think that can be challenged in the court. The order itself says that it can be challenged in the court. I don't know what he is doing.
No, I think a lot of people are not even aware that there is something called an externment order. Basically, if there is a suspicion that someone will create a law and order problem, then the district magistrate or the collector can actually extern someone, like say that you cannot enter this district for this many weeks or months. It's a colonial law which I believe should have been repealed. Yeah.
There is one more thing. In fact, what are the cases? This is no way connected to the Saujanya or Dharmasthala thing. There were some 30 cases pending. That was about communal clashes, hate speech, etc. I think similar charges are made against so many leaders, including Kaladka Prabhakar Bhatta, who is a very important senior leader of the RSS.
Raja Singh of Hyderabad, who has 100 cases against him.
He was never actually extracted from anywhere.
Yeah.
In that sense, the administration is actually helping out the people who are accused in this whole thing. So that Timarodi, who is an important figure there, whatever may be his past, what he is doing today is challenging the Dharmasthala administration in open. And he has a very, very big mass base. In fact, for the 1 or 1.5 years, they were actually pro-Saujanya protest meets in almost every village of the 2 districts in that sense. So they want to cut that. In fact, that way it has a direct connection, and it also creates a lot of doubt about the intention of the government. On the one way, they have allowed the SIT, but on the other way, they are seeing to that the voices that are raising the correct questions are being harassed. And now that Timarodi is thrown out, it is a ploy in a sense to see that there will be no mass mobilization. So, because there are many progressive organizations which are fighting against this, but they don't have a mass base, at least there in those districts. He is the person who is having that mass base. So, externation for 1 year is to see that the whole thing is managed properly.
Yeah, and he has the ability to mobilize people much more
So
than
when he was
progressive
arrested
groups.
recently and when he came back, that night you should have seen the crowds on the streets. People were out on the streets yelling all kinds of slogans, and look at the slogans. They're all very interesting because this man is a Hindutva activist. Bharat Mata ki jai, Saujanya Nyaya ka ki jai, Hindutva ki jai. All of that put and against, demanding justice for Saujanya. So all of these slogans, which would normally seem contrasting or at opposites or whatever, they had all those slogans. And this is the man that these people are accusing of being anti-Hindu, anti-Dharmasthala, right? So he's a Hindutvavadi through and through. On that he's never changed.
Yeah. Okay, my problem is the externment law itself. I read in the papers recently that in Thrissur, I can't remember the district, I think in Thrissur, 2 women have been externed. 2 women who have some criminal case against them.
Moving on to Tamil Nadu, 2 die of asphyxiation while cleaning sewer in Trichy. According to the police, Ravi descended into the sewer but found it difficult to breathe after inhaling toxic gas and fell unconscious. Prabhu, who rushed to his rescue, also collapsed. Such a sad state of affairs, and our governments continue denying their very existence. Just before the show, in fact, we were trying to pull out some numbers. Dhanya, we have those numbers, right?
Yeah, so this is the reply in the parliament. Now, the thing is that the government does not even recognize these people as manual scavengers. They have a definition which really keeps everyone away. So under the definition itself, Tamil Nadu had deaths of persons in sewers and septic tanks. Tamil Nadu is one of the highest. They had 9 in 2018. It's 15, 9, 5. In 2022, they had 13 deaths. And suddenly 2023, there are 0 deaths. So half the time it's not even recorded. Tamil Nadu does have very high numbers. Haryana is another one. But I'm not saying the other states do not have, but I think it's not recorded properly. And as we have done stories several times in the past, it is mainly people from Dalit communities who are into these jobs.
Yeah. Moving on to Telangana, union government failed to put pressure. Telangana IT Minister Sridhar Babu says to the News Minute on H1B crisis. While expressing that the union government could have preemptively averted the crisis, he said that he'd interacted with representatives of companies like Microsoft, Google and Infosys to assess the situation. Hyderabad and the IT crowd there will be hit very badly. Both the Telugu states, as people might know already, see a large number of people going to the US for education, to get jobs. So what happens to all of them? It's something I'm looking at in this week's Let Me Explain. But honestly, at the time of recording, we're still grappling with what we want to say, how we want to position the whole thing.
But despite all this, I saw a video today of people from Telangana and Andhra Pradesh dancing in front of theatre because Pavan Kalyan's OG is releasing. So,
in Kerala, Operation Numkor is something I want
Numkor.
Numkor?
How do we know? That's the pronunciation.
Apparently
it's Bhutanese word,
yeah,
right?
it's a Bhutanese word which means vehicle.
You could have just called it Operation One Day. As
Anisha
Anisha
saying
was saying.
Bhutan will do Operation One Day.
Hopefully.
That is a discussion we were having before we started recording.
Dulquer Salman's cars among 36 smuggled vehicles seized. Wow.
It's a very interesting thing, right? I mean, these people, there's a gang that's based out of Coimbatore and they're stealing luxury cars, but they're second-hand. Okay, it makes me wonder what a second-hand luxury car costs. And these are all tax-free, duty-free, obviously, because they've been smuggled and stuff. So, yeah, it's...
No, I don't understand why these wealthy people are buying this. They have enough money to buy the
Exactly
original
my
cars
point.
from the...
But if you can get it
Exactly
for
my
cheaper without
point.
import
So
duty.
imagine the difference in...
Yeah, the cost. I mean, it's not worth the trouble, right? Anyway.
In Andhra Pradesh, YSRCP seeks immediate release of fees reimbursement dues. We'll just read one or two national headlines also this week. IIT Madras director calls Trump's H1B visa fee hike a blessing in disguise. A lot of people have been reflecting this view that this could mean that talent will stay in India and they won't go and work in the US. I don't know. I don't want to comment on whether that is true talent or the ones who stayed back are the ones who are really talented. But yeah, that is one interesting dimension.
It's always a blessing in disguise. It is never a direct blessing. Yeah.
You have to look for the blessing.
Yeah. This director of IIT, remember, he was also in a controversy because he had made those comments on cow urine. And there was a lot of fact checks of how he was quoting these papers, which are not exactly popular papers, but of course nothing to do with his comments on H1B, just to recall.
No, Amitabh Kant is also actually making comments on the same lines, If the H1B visa, Modi is on record saying that he would see that visa will be given in the America only, then he will not come back, and there was big clapping. Now it is reduced. Now it is again blessing in disguise, masterstroke by Modi, because Amitabh Kant, who is actually advisor to the Economic Council of PM, says that now the same talent will be retained here and India's growth story will begin.
It's being called the reverse brain drain.
Actually speaking, statistics do not support that. Whenever there was a crisis, there were 3-4 crises of that sort, people did not come back to India.
No, not only that, this assumption that people who are going abroad are the brainiest people here.
Exactly.
Is also wrong, I feel. A lot of people go because of pressure from family or, sorry, but you get more dowry if you are settled abroad. For petty reasons also.
And some just aspire for an easier life. 70%
of the intellectual labor in America is provided by the Indians. That is for the fact. That intellectual labor is not available in America. Whether it is comparable to anywhere in the world is a different matter. Whether there are more intellectual labor available within India and whether they are properly employed is another biggest question. But the question is 70% in America is served by the Indians and now they will also have an impact there. But the thing is, they will never come back because there is no opportunity here. They are going, that will try. Not only this, they are going to Israel in the midst of war and we are sending some 10,000 workers.
Now China is calling them.
China will actually take this advantage. They will grow.
No, I was actually thinking of something very unrelated. So China has now said some new visa is going to come, right? That they're going to have a easier visa. Very unrelated. But remember, NewsClick was charged under UAPA saying that they got money from China. So now that we are buddies with China, this bye-bye, will that case...
They should drop the case.
yeah, because now geopolitics is altered, right? We are now friends with China, not friends with America. And you've already booked them under UAPA.
But it's not that you're not friends with America, they're not making friends with you. So
In
there's a
fact, the
difference.
very interesting thing is that between 2014 and 2016, BJP had party-to-party connection with CPC. They had sent the dignitaries of BJP party to learn from CPC. Then they were buddies, actually.
I want to know what they learnt and how they implemented.
Probably this Pegasus and such things came from China only.
Israel.
It came from Israel. The idea of surveillance is happening very much there.
One bizarre headlines. BJP leader Gaurav Bhatia moves Delhi High Court over defamatory post on alleged TV appearance without pants.
So he's saying he wore shorts.
And the camera person kept a frame where the bottom half of his body was seen by
No, it
mistake.
was basically a very wide frame. He's wearing a kurta. Now he says he's wearing shorts. I mean, so people do.
Can I just say this? As people who worked in TV, we've all done it. Lives from homes. You're wearing shorts underneath. You're wearing presentable clothes on top. And you're doing lives. I think it's perfectly fine.
Okay.
I've done it lots of times.
No, but it is not defamation that is the problem. You cannot put a defamation.
No, so
bad for the
people
guy,
are making
but-
fun of him that, oh, you're not wearing pants. So he has now moved against those defamatory
The
posts.
thing is, you should enjoy that fun. Look,
Exactly.
Can I just say one thing? Connected, not connected. Do you remember the clip where Sidramaya in the assembly was making a speech and his panche fell? And DK Shiv Kumar came and whispered it in his ear saying that your panche fell. Sidramaya decided he'll announce it to the world, saying that our party president is telling me my panche has fallen down. Went on to explain that during COVID, I put on a little bit of weight, so it is not fitting. But anyway, it is okay. And he pulled it up and continued speaking. So yeah.
Yeah.
there was also a gesture of solidarity between two leaders, which was under question. So he is actually protecting his pancha is very metaphorical.
Okay, with that, we will come to an end of the headlines. So today we're discussing the massive controversy surrounding Karnataka's Socio-Educational Survey, an exercise which is being largely called as the caste census. That's wrong, and we'll tell you why. The survey sparked a fierce debate with the opposition BJP, calling it a sinister plot to divide Hindus. The issues even caused dissent within the Congress party, with leaders from dominant communities expressing concerns. Some have even made sure that their communities go to court. At the heart of the issue is also a misunderstanding. Many, including politicians and community leaders, view the survey as a population headcount rather than a tool to measure backwardness. And the government has not done anything significant to actually tell people what the survey is all about. So it's become a political and a legal minefield for the Karnataka government. The survey officially started on the 22nd of September, and a lot of state resources are being used for this. So I'm going to go to Anisha first because she has been writing all our explainers. So basically the purpose of making Anisha write an explainer is that somebody in office knows everything clearly and other people will just read the explainer. So Anisha, tell us, most stories call it caste census. I think even we would have called it caste census.
Yes.
Is that the root of the problem, the understanding? Because 2015 survey also was junked because everybody said it's a population count and that population has not been counted properly.
See, I'm not entirely sure where the whole term caste survey came about, but it's been there since 2015, no sir? Yeah.
Kantaraj committee.
Yeah. So, but see, the problem is that Siddharamaya's clarification came too little and too late. When did everybody finally realize that this was a survey and not a caste census? At the end of in June, when he held a press conference, when he officially junked the survey. And that's when he sat and explained, this is the law, this is a section under which we've done this, etc., etc., etc. Now, calling it a caste survey is just wrong because Section 9 of the Karnataka State Backward Classes Commission Act clearly says what the powers of the commission are. The biggest job of the commission is to conduct a survey, and the wording is important here. It says that the state government is supposed to conduct a survey on all the citizens of the state. Okay, so when the BJP and other people keep saying what the state government is doing is a census, how can you sit and count everybody? It's just plain wrong. Okay, now let me give you an example. Now, say for example, we all know that anemia is a problem, right? And the most people who are affected by anemia happen to be women, also because of menstruation. Now, say tomorrow the government decides to do a survey to measure anemia. Okay, what will it do? Hypothetically speaking, it will say, okay, let's survey everybody. Let's figure out everybody, like say, for example, in some cases, menstruation begins at the age of 10 or whatever, right? You fix an age group and then you sit and measure everybody. Why will you measure everybody? Because you also need, because nutrition is also connected to menstruation, right? And we also know from social factors that women tend to eat less because of the gender factor, and they will give more food to the male members of the family. Now, everything they do, and finally then they come back with a report. What will you sit and look at? Which part of the data are you going to look at? Are you going to sit and look at the population numbers? Are you going to sit and look at the age group of which caste, how many girls are there? No, that is not the point of the survey at all. The point of the survey is to measure anemia in people, figure out what factors are causing it, and so on. And that is exactly what is happening with the caste survey, right? The population numbers are a byproduct of the survey, right? That is not the focus. The point is to measure who has what kind of assets, what kind of education levels. And in one particular question in the survey, it asks, were you gifted any land, right? Now, imagine the kind of implications you could look at with the vast amount of data being collected. We know that women don't get land, right? Women don't have land ownership also. But we also have inheritance laws, right? Which mandate, how property is supposed to be divided between children of parents and so on. So, you could, if we had this data, if the survey was done well and if we had this data, then you would know exactly what kind of, the level of even implementation of inheritance laws, right? The survey has very, very interesting questions, and some of them are downright, well, I don't know, pointless, I think, because there are questions on disability, and one of the disabilities included is cerebral palsy, which I don't think the surveyors have the qualification to ask. And possibly families are also not in a position to know whether their kids are affected by cerebral palsy, autism spectrum disorder. Okay, so these kind of questions, I think, somebody has messed up somewhere. But on the whole, if you look at the survey questions, it's very, very interesting. And done right, it can provide a socio-economic, educational profile. It even asks people what kind of skill training they would want. So imagine what kind of implications it would have for framing of employment policies, skill training policies for young people. Unemployment is a huge problem in this country, everywhere in the world, right? And what are these groups opposing so fiercely, right? You have petitions in the High Court filed by Lingayat groups, Vokaliga groups, Brahmin groups, and I think there's a Lambani group also, which has gone to court, right? The last time any commission recommended Lingayats as backward was 100 years ago, in 1919. That was in the pre-independence era during the Miller Committee's time. Since then, no commission set up by the government has considered Lingayats as a backward community, right? Now, these are the very same groups who kept propagating the false idea, among others, they're not the only ones, that this is a caste census. Now the same people have gone to court and they're questioning the government. Okay, so they claimed that the previous survey was unscientific because they had undercounted their communities, right? And what was their proof? Oh, the surveyors didn't come to my friend's house. They didn't come to my relative's house. They were not able to point out a single geographical area or a locality anywhere in the bloody state where they could show that, okay, as evidence that these people were systematically left out, and they had every opportunity to do so in the past 10 years, right? They've not been able to produce that proof. They consistently claimed undercounting, and now when the state government is doing everything it can to make sure everybody is counted, they've gone to court and saying you have no right to conduct a census. When the state government has the mandate in law to do this, to do a survey.
The confusion is deliberate.
Yeah, there are little clarification necessary. In the sense, first, the last thing, it is not a census, it is a survey. And all the state governments has a constitutional privilege to conduct surveys. Census is the prerogative of the central government. But the moot question is, why is Backward Class Commission doing it? The answer is that it is mandated by the Supreme Court verdict in the Indira Sahni case. And what did Indira Sahni verdict say? For every 10 years, they should make a survey of the one who are getting the benefits of the reservation to exclude or include the groups, not the individuals. The reservation, Mandal judgment, it gives reservation based on the caste. Caste is not the only criteria, because Article 15 will be attracted then. Caste is a very important criteria to understand the social backwardness. So when reservation is given based on the caste, the backwardness of each caste over a period of 10 years should be assessed properly. So likewise, after 1995, there was permanent backward class commission in each and every state. And the mandate to them was to conduct survey. Caste is a very important factor to understand whether a particular caste needs a continuation of reservation privilege. But then it did not happen in Karnataka. In 2005, 1995 was the judgment. 2005, you had this coalition government in Karnataka. Then Siddaramaiah was again tried to actually have a survey. He couldn't do that. In 2015, it so happened in the history that he became the chief minister and he started with the Kantaraj Commission. So this is a necessity which is actually mandated by the Supreme Court to understand the social status of each caste groups, depending on economic employment status of each particular group. As an individual, because group is constituted by the individual, that's why it is an individual based survey. And there are two things. It is not a survey to only understand who is actually eligible for reservation. It is also to survey to understand who is not eligible for reservation. For example, the upper caste, 3%, 5%. If they are actually disproportionately they are taking the advantage, then they should be excluded. As Anisha said, all the backward class commission, right from Nagan Gowda in 1959 to today, they have given, based on concrete findings, they have given their own findings, and the governments of the day have come up with a different formula altogether. And the recent one is what happened to Nagmohan Das thing in the internal reservation. Lingayas is a different ball game in this, because the Lingayas is a conglomeration of different castes. In fact, Nagan Gowda, there are two kinds of reservation. Reservation for education and reservation for employment. In some backward class commission, for example, Nagan Gowda completely excluded Lingayas. Whereas Havanur, they included some Lingayat caste for the education and some for the employment, not the whole thing. Applying for the Vakaligas also. Then you had Venkaswamy Commission. Venkaswamy Commission was also harsh on both these things. And Chinnappa Reddy actually made two particular scientific distinction for the employment reservation and the education reservation, of course, because of the pressure what the present government is also is under. So they actually changed that. So the question is, backward class commission has to do this survey. And this survey should be overall societal level survey to understand how much each group is getting. So it is constitutionally mandated and it is a survey and not a census. But the question is the kind of urgency that is being shown in this. For example, there is one veteran officer who actually was part of the Kantaraj committee also, one Mr. K.N. Lingappa. He has been time and again saying that, for example, in the 2015 census, they prepared for more than 1.5 years. They had a training for all those people who were supposed to do this for more than 6 months. They also had a campaign for awareness among the people. Nothing of that sort has happened here. And especially one of the alibi is what? Now you have the festival season. Many people will not be available in the house, and also the people who have to do the survey also will not be interested there. And 15 days is very, very inadequate. And already the 2 days report suggests that there are many glitches in the technology that is being used. In Bangalore, in the last 2 days, hardly 500 homes have been covered. and you have to cover more than 1.5 crore
No,
people.
but if you look at the handbook also,
Yeah.
the range of questions and the possible answers people can give is massive.
Yeah.
It takes so much time, 60 questions, so much time from one particular person, one
No, but
individual.
why would the government do something in such a hurry, considering that their previous survey was junked? And for a long time, Siddaramaiah actually tried to make sure that the 2015 survey is not junked,
Now,
right?
when you say government, we're not talking about one group, one homogeneous. I think that is where the problem is. This confusion that we've all been talking about is very deliberate. Let's say for a moment think
Yeah.
that it's stemming from genuine confusion. People, members of the cabinet of this government, have deliberately confused people into thinking that there is a fear psychosis. They've also used the word census deliberately, though it is a survey and they know it very well, so
Caste
that it can be
census.
challenged.
Caste census,
Caste
not
census,
just
exactly.
census.
They've used the word caste census instead of survey. Now, there are two things here. One is the stated, reason for it, which is to understand the socio-economic and educational background. If that comes out properly, there are many people whose careers are at stake, because they pretend to be community leaders and they think that their community and through that their own clout, political clout, will go down. Now, the second part is the byproduct, which is the population of each of the castes. If that comes out too, they can no longer throw words around, numbers around like 17%, 11%, 2%, whatever. They can't do that anymore and claim to hold their own parties to ransom, which is why people within the own government, it's not, Dhanya, as Shivasundar sir said, it is not a coincidence that it started off now. It's almost like one part of the government is pushing for the survey, the other part is doing everything to put impediments so the survey is not held properly.
No, also
the
one
part
of
that is pushing the survey is not holding on to its ground. That is
It's
the
not
whole
being able to hold on to its
Yeah,
ground
able to-
either.
No, one question I have is this inclusion of the converted
Yeah.
communities, right? For example, this survey had options where people could call themselves as Lingayat Christian or Vokkaliga Christian or whatever kind of Christian. That also became ammunition for the BJP and even people within the Congress to oppose, right? And what is the opposition to the Brahmin Association?
God alone knows. Like, really, I have no idea why they're opposing this.
See, it is dividing the people. That is the broad reason. They don't have a particular thing. And why? Because, see, the upper echelons of each community want to actually take the whole community together to actually bargain for the based on their number. This is what happened even during the Pune Pact and this thing. I think today is the day of the Pune Pact.
Yeah.
To remember historically.
I was just thinking that
Yes.
fractions to millions essay. No,
Exactly.
yeah.
Actually, they wanted Dalit to be part of the Hindus to actually bargain for the seats in the Pune Pact. This is another kind of the same story where there are different subcastes within the each community and the number of the together, if they actually not counted in the same particular caste, their number will be decreased. That is the great pain. If you look at the statement given by the established caste organization, everyone is actually giving call to actually give your name as Vokkaliga, only as Brahmin. Don't actually go for subcaste. These are the people who are actually established. Their religion, their subcaste, etc. That is one thing which I missed in a way.
No, can I just make a quick point here with regard to the whole Brahmin or this thing? Now, so there are 4 petitions in the High Court, right? Now, somebody from the Lingayat Mahasabha told me that they did not put, so the head of the Lingayat Mahasabha is Ishwar Khandre, who is a forest minister, right? The Lingayat Mahasabha did not file it in the name of the Mahasabha, their petition in the High Court, simply because it will create problem for
The minister.
the minister, right? So they have filed it in the name of an individual, okay? Who is the advocate representing them? A former advocate general,
Navadagi.
Prabhuling Navadi. Who is representing the Vokkaliga Sangha's petition? Ashok Harnahalli, who is the head of the Brahmin Mahasabha, right? So all these linkages you cannot discount. It is a combined and parallel effort which is happening to undermine the measurement of social backwardness in the state, right? So yeah, sorry,
There
Pooja,
are
go
two
ahead.
things actually. One, it will bring out a huge pressure in the courtroom. The judges will be under huge pressure because these individuals are not normal beings
Yeah.
that matter. Second thing, you were asking the questions about Christian thing. See, take for example Lingayas. There are some 69 subcastes. What are the names of the subcastes? Banajiga Lingayata, Ganiga Lingayata. Lingayata is a religion but they have actually converted from particular caste. Same thing has happened with the Christians. You have Ganiga Christians. So you have problem with having Christian Hindu subcaste. You don't have problem with Lingayas. This is very communal in that sense. So I don't think there should be any problem. You should actually understand the social backwardness within the Christian community. If you are a Ganiga Christian, how forward or how backward when you compare that to Brahmin Christian?
But this goes to what the BJP or the union government has been saying in the Supreme Court, right? They do not want reservations for converted Christians on the base of caste. So if you subcategorize any converted Christians into castes here, then that could become a precedent of doing it elsewhere and then
It's
open up for
already been
reservation.
done. For example, in the OBC list of Karnataka,
we still
you
have,
have many Christians who are actually, for example, Madiga converted to Christians, they are in the category number 1. And the whole Christian community is in the 3B. Likewise, Muslims, there are some 60 castes within the Muslims and there are some 19 castes in category 1 and some 13 castes in 2A and the whole Muslim community in the 2B. There are castes and they have already been categorized. That is not a new thing. Their problem is that you have invented 33 more castes, which was not existing, which is not a fact. Because in every caste census, you will find some 300 to 400 castes. Compare the number of castes in the Kaka Kalelkar Commission and the Mandal Commission. You get 2,000 more castes. Caste is such a amoebic phenomena in this social milieu. It actually repeats, it actually multiplies. So if that is a social reality, what is the purpose of the survey? You have to come out and say that, see, there is a backwardness. The whole Christians, there are some 20 castes within the Christians, let them be in the 3B. But these subcastes, for example, Ganiga Christian, let him be in 2A. So whatever has been done, that should be continued. Now they want to make this very sensational. Otherwise, it is not a new phenomenon at all.
Yeah. Now, the BJP has raised objection, particularly on this account.
See,
And
but
they've been saying that, you're breaking Hindus. But when you talk to people, and I'm basing this on reporting, the lived experiences of people does not change a great deal just because you converted to Christianity. When I visited Hosadurga, which is where this entire anti-conversion law stemmed from in Karnataka, I did learn that one particular church where a former legislator's mother was a frequent visitor, that was a church where only people from ST community who converted to Christianity would attend. There were several other churches I went to which were far more posh churches with schools attached to it. This was not so grand. And this is an open secret within the community. Your previous caste does not, the discrimination does not get erased just because you converted to Christianity. That continues. This is the case even in Ramnagar. I was talking to Sudipto, who's our colleague, and we were talking about this case in Ramnagar, which also is the stronghold of DK Shivakumar, the Deputy Chief Minister. There were not once or twice, multiple times where Dalit Vokalika Christians had beaten up members of Dalit Christians. But on the surface, it looked like Michael beat up Michael, Peter beat up Peter. But scratch the surface, you know that it is not people of the same community in the true spirit. So if you do not take that into account, I won't get into the technicality of how it makes a survey complicated. But the whole purpose of this survey is to understand the realities of people's lives. It does not show if you don't take this into account.
To give one more example, in North Karnataka, in the same family, Madigas and Lambani's families, you will have Hindu Lambani and Christian Lambani, Hindu Madiga and Christian Madiga, same family.
Exactly.
But it has allowed the BJP to polarize this now.
The thing is, they are doing that, there is no counterforce. The question is based on the backwardness. They think, for example, what happened in Orissa. In Orissa, many tribals were Christians converts and many tribals are not. So they wanted to mobilize them on the communalism issue. So you have to have a counterforce, counter narrative, not yield to them, no? The government is yielding to them. That is the problem.
See, the focus is excessively on on Dalit Christians, right? Among many Dalits in the same family, you will find Christians also, you will find Buddhists also, you will find Hindu also. Okay, so it's not that Dalits are also a homogeneous group in terms of their faith, right? Even within the same family, you will have all these differences, and faith is a personal choice. Who's anybody else to come and ask you who you are?
But I think it's not about faith, it's about what the population of each faith is, and therefore does the big number go down.
It is not that. Actually, it is not a census based on, survey based on religion. It is based on social backwardness of each social group. For
No,
example,
the case is being heard right now in the High Court, and Abhishek Manu Singhvi is actually saying, who's representing the state, that these people are opposing the survey, but what is the reason for opposing? They're not saying. So the judge said their main opposition is that you are mixing religion with caste.
how? This is what Anisha said. For example, Muslims and Christians in Karnataka, the whole group is considered as backward caste. They are not considered as backward religion. This was done by BJP government also. Bommai government itself, actually, they wanted to, only they divided Muslims. Christian thing continued. Buddhism continued. So Buddhists, Christians and Muslims in Karnataka are considered as a caste, backward caste. So within the caste, you will have sub-caste. So within the Muslims, you will have halal course, you will have chappar buns, we will have pinjaras who are very, very backward, almost similar to Dalits. You will have ashravs, you will have nadavs who are relatively more forward. Likewise in Christians, you will have a Ganiga Christian and you will have a Syrian Christian. Syrian Christians are in 3B and the more, Madiga Christians are in 1A. So it is a very, very wrong argument to say that counting Christians as a religion. They are being counted here as a caste, backward group. And Chinnappa Reddy has made it very, very clear in his survey. In 1989 and 1990, his whole commission report says that how, on the parameters of educational, economic and social backwardness, Muslims far inferior to Dalits. In fact, the parameters are there, how many SLC passages or how many people took SLC exam when compared to their population percentage. Dalits fare better in many things. So the whole Muslims, he says, in a very way, Chinnappa Reddy was part of the Supreme Court Constitutional Bench, which actually adjudicated on the Venkataswamy Commission also. He says Muslims as a social group is socially backward. That's why they are entitled for reservation in the backward classes. So here the word is class. Again, in the Indra Sahini judgment, they make it very clear, just because you belong to particular religion, that will not actually exclude you from becoming backward class. It is not caste. Class can be conglomeration of backward communities, class and religions also.
Correct.
So social backwardness is the factor.
I've also wondered why there is so much of trouble in Karnataka while Telangana has finished the survey, and they also have an expert group which is led by Praveen Chakravarti. In fact, we had interviewed him a few weeks ago, and he said that there are 243 subcastes in the state, and they're going to have something called a composite backwardness index. So each group, caste is going to be given a number according to that, and then they will look at policies to be tailored. But there we are not seeing this kind of, there have been murmurs, but nothing so anonymous or, that it stops a survey itself, right?
I think it's politics. There are multiple power centers in Karnataka. There are associations that are way too powerful that have, for not now, for at least like Sir said, 2005 when Siddaramaiah first spoke of holding a survey. Since then, it's been the same forces at work that have been stopping a survey from being conducted. After it was conducted, they didn't want it out. So these caste groups are way more powerful in how they've organized themselves and how they mobilize in Karnataka.
And I think what emboldens them is the shoddy way in which the survey is done itself. Like all those tweets which were coming out of those stickers which were being stuck outside houses when the survey was not done.
Those I'm sure if you'd scrutinize would be there in Telangana as well. I think those are excuses being made.
See, constitutionally, they cannot oppose it. It is a constitutional mandate. They can at the best postpone it. That's why they have been doing that time and again. But here, Siddaramaiah had an opportunity to actually shut their mouth and do it more scientifically and with convincing way. But there is a power struggle within the circles there. And there are many permutation combinations which is having, you might have read in the press that K. N. Rajendran, who was lieutenant of Siddaramaiah, is on record saying that caste census is not going to take place. Because the question is, in the last 2 days press report itself suggests that there is no proper preparedness. So even though court cannot actually ask them to stop it, they can ask them to revise the process and restart it again.
Correct.
That may actually go on. And you are also waiting November revolution in the political circles. We don't know that. That's an important factor. What happens is nobody's guess.
November revolution.
No, actually, I think the only problem is To borrow a phrase from our Home Minister, there's too much democracy in Karnataka. That's why it's not happening.
Anyways, so, while I was trying to prepare for this episode, I went to YouTube to check if there are any discussions about the Karnataka Socio-Education Survey or the caste census. And literally there was nothing. Like, there were just these TV lives of reporters saying new controversy, yes, in English, new controversy. So I hope this episode actually helps you all
Make sense of
understand
it,
and
yeah.
make sense of what is happening. And I'm happy that you both have been explaining those to us. Should prices at movie theaters be capped? Should you be paying 400, 500, 1,000 rupees for a movie? That's a huge discussion this week as the Karnataka government tried to introduce an amendment which said that movie theater tickets should be capped at 200 rupees. As people were cheering this, the High Court has, of course, given an interim stay to this entire amendment. Hombale Productions, which is a huge production company in Karnataka, which in fact makes the movie Kantara, went to court.
KGF too.
KGF and Kantara, they went to court along with cine associations and others, saying that the government cannot decide on pricing of movie tickets. And of course, there are a lot of technical grounds that the act itself cannot be changed. And they also said that the same movie pricing cannot be applied to a city like Bengaluru, a municipality, a panchayat, etc., and that the government had not made any sorts of differences. So the court has given an interim stay, which means that movie tickets will still be 400, 500, 1,000 or how much ever you are paying. But remember, states like Tamil Nadu do have a cap. In fact, in 2017 itself, Tamil Nadu had passed a GO which said that in Greater Chennai, for example, movie tickets can be capped at this, while it's different for districts, it's different for theatres, one-screen theatres, two-screen theatres, etc. So should movie tickets be capped? That's a small discussion that we're having today. And joining us is G Dhananjayan from Chennai. He's a well-known producer. He's a founder and managing trustee of BOFTA, which is the Blue Ocean Film and Television Academy. He's a writer. He's directed many Tamil films. He's also produced films in Malayalam and Hindi. His films include Poo, Kandain Kadale, Abhiyam Nanum, Tangalan, Asuran, Irudi Sutra, and much more. Thank you very much, Mr. Dhananjayan, for joining us here on the News Minute.
Thank you, Dhanya, for inviting me. And can I start, sharing my views on the point?
Yes, please go ahead. We are waiting for your views.
Basically, in Tamil Nadu, this cap is, existing for the last more than 10, 15 years. In fact, it's always there. The reason is, cinema has to be affordable to the common man. That's a goal. Cinema cannot be like, only the people who are privileged and rich can afford to watch in a theater. It should not be like that. That's a motto of Tamil Nadu government for ages. I'm not talking about current government, but earlier governments, and all the governments have always decided cinema has to be affordable and everywhere it should be affordable. So the capping, at 190 rupees in Tamil Nadu today is 190 is a ceiling. It is 190 is a maximum. It doesn't mean that, we can't charge 100 rupees. It can be charged 100 rupees. It can be charged 80 rupees. In fact, theaters across Tamil Nadu, they charge from 80, 100, 110, 130 to 150, 190, depending on the city, depending on the number of, theaters in a particular complex and all. They define what is the rate based on the government approval. What Karnataka has followed the same philosophy of Tamil Nadu, capping at 200 rupees. It is not that, across Karnataka 200. It is 200 is a maximum, and everywhere. For Bangalore, it can be 200. If you go to Mysore, it can be 150. If you go to, Hubli, it can be 130, whatever it is, depending on the theater, depending on the affordability index. Whatever the particular city is all about, the capping can be done by the local people or the theaters can be allowed. I personally felt it is a right move by Karnataka government because today, the moment you keep it variable, particularly during the weekends, the ticket price can be very high. Bangalore, for example, has been charging 450 rupees, 1,000 rupees. Some other days, it's 2,000 rupees for a big budget film. It's simply unimaginable. Such kind of ticket prices, actually demarcates the audience into elite audience and common audience. Only the elite audience can afford 1,000 rupees ticket price or 2,000 rupees ticket price. Common man cannot go and watch a film in the first 2 days. It's simply unacceptable in the normal course of life. So in Tamil Nadu, anybody who can afford 190 or 150 can buy a ticket. So there is nothing called, discrimination among the people. The moment, this kind of variable ticket is allowed, that same thing will happen in Tamil Nadu. That's why the Tamil Nadu government never allowed it for so many, I would put it decades. So the Theatre Owner Association here, Distributors, producers, everybody's for it. The reason is today we are already struggling to get the audience to theaters. Except for a theatrical experience film, for example, maybe Kantara 1 now, it's a prequel. So except for a film like Kantara 1, this year, if you look at, Karnataka, Kannada cinema is going through a difficult time. None of the films worked and collected big money. Everybody knows that Kannada cinema is going through a very, very turbulent time. One or two films would have clicked. In Tamil Nadu, the same way. Except for some 10 films, so far we are crossing 200 cinema. Except for 10 films, the other films, people are not coming. I'm talking about a general apathy towards cinema. People don't want to come and watch cinema in theater because they're all looking at it as another opportunity. Like, I got an OTT, I can watch it. I can watch in the net. I can download the film through piracy and watch it. So everybody moved away from coming to theater since, this is COVID time onwards. There is a complete change has happened. When we are struggling to get the audience to the theater, making it difficult for them to come to the theater by charging very high is going to be detrimental, is my view.
No, so a couple of things. One is, of course, is Hombale Productions moving the court. And one of the things that they told the court is that, look, every movie is a different kind of production. Every movie some movies require more money than the others to make. So if the court allows this cap to go on, that means producers may not want to make big budget movies. I think that's a really problematic argument to have, especially by Hombale, because it is only a few movies like KGF and Kantara which are made with that kind of money in Karnataka. No other producer has moved court saying the same thing as Kantara, as Hombale had, because they would want people to come to the theatre.
Incidentally, the two movies that you mentioned are also what come under quote-unquote pan-India. And Hombale has not gone to court in Telangana, in Andhra, in Tamil Nadu. They're doing it only in Karnataka, which is also something that many Kannada activists are pointing out. There is a campaign online calling Hombale anti-Kannada, and we spoke to those activists, and the explanation, one is this. Second is the fact that they think that Karnataka is a dumping ground for other movies because it's a secondary market for Tamil and Telugu movies. While there is a cap in these three states that I mentioned, Karnataka so far had no cap. So the same movies with far fewer numbers, tickets, they'd earn a lot more money here. And Kannada cinema was just not being able to keep up.
Mr. Dhananjayan, I want to ask you, you're producing movies, right? If let's say your budget is 50 crores, 100 crores or 150 crores, will it depend upon the pricing of the movie ticket as what Hombale is saying?
Absolutely no. Let me ask you this. Let me tell you the question. Like, films like, recently Coolie came in, the ticket price was 190. It still collected a lot of money. It collected more than 500 crores in worldwide. In Tamil Nadu also, it collected huge money. And let's take, a film like Leo, collected 600 crore, charging the same 190 rupees in Tamil Nadu. They didn't charge, 500 rupees in Tamil Nadu. Okay. I put it across, various, other films. I can quote examples of films which have done record business in Tamil Nadu. For example, Vijay sir's, last film called Goat has collected 225 crore in Tamil Nadu, charging 190 rupees to 150 rupees across Tamil Nadu. It is not that, they needed 500 rupees or 1,000 rupees to collect so much money in Tamil Nadu. I put it across, to Karnataka is that there are, 5.5 crore to 6 crore people. Why don't we bring in all the 2 crore, 3 crore people to the theatre by charging them low? Karnataka government is doing the right thing by capping the ticket price at 200 so that every common man can afford to watch Kantara 1. By making it, 1,000 rupees, 2,000 rupees, you're going to make it very elite film. You're not going to make it a common man film. So I'm not saying that they're going to charge 1,000 rupees, 2,000 across, Karnataka, but I'm still saying that why are you sticking onto the ticket price as a real thing? Why don't we look at, increasing the number of audience to the film? The moment we focus on increasing the audience to the film is going to be for the masses. And the masses are going to patronize the film and they're going to bring in a lot more collection than what we are looking at it for a weekend or for 1 week to charge exorbitant ticket prices and, milk the customer who are wanting to watch on the first day. So Tamil Nadu very categorically follow the policies. There is nothing called milking the audience in the first 3 days or first 1 week by charging them exorbitant. Whether you make a Hindi film of 1,000 crore, whether you make a Hollywood film of 1,000 crore, we had 1,000 crore. We'll put in a Hollywood film, F1. F1 is, ran here at 190 rupees and collected exorbitant money, right? For huge collection it made. Let's take it, a Japanese, animation film, which collected, billions of money, billions of dollars. It still charged 190 rupees only in Tamil Nadu. It still collected a lot of money. And same thing, I'm putting it across F1 or, take it Mission Impossible or everything. It charged 190 rupees and still collected a lot of money. In fact, they ran for so long. 4 weeks, 5 weeks at such a big, collection, and they brought in huge collection in Tamil Nadu. No distributor, Hollywood cinema, complained about Tamil Nadu capping the ticket price is detrimental to collect money.
So Dhananjayan sir should go viral now. Huh? Yes.
I just had one point. This is the hypocrisy of big business. They want state incentives but not state regulation. That is the hypocrisy that they play in every sector. I think that's it. Because you said Hombala is going there. Hombala is a big business company, no?
No, I think smaller producers should have implemented saying that we want the capping because
No,
then
but
we
we
can bring back
started
theatres.
with the small producers, directors. The film association went to the state government, said that we are unable to recover post-COVID because people are not coming back to theatres in large numbers. So help us, because this is also a war between big theatre businesses and Kannada, this one. But Dhanya, I want to look at the petition. Quickly, 2 points I want to look at. One of the arguments that the petition makes is that ticket pricing is a contract between the theatre and the cinegoer. My argument is the cinegoer doesn't have the option in Bangalore, right? Where is a contract has to be on some equal terms. There has to be negotiation. Where is the negotiation here? I have no say because even the bare minimum is 250, 300. So where is the option, right? Second point, Dhanya, is that they have a problem with the state government intervening. So, and then the courts are also agreeing to that, saying that the state government has no role.
No, it's a very technical ground that the act does not give the state government any right to regulate
So
prices.
can they pass it through a government order?
They should have done that. But then government order has been passed in Karnataka twice, 2017 and 22. Both times the court has struck it down.
So state government has no say. It's a dummy legislation, making body. The courts will do what it wants. The theatre owners will do what they want. So what's the government there for?
Anisha, you were jumping to make a point.
Yeah, so to add to what Shivasundar and Pooja were saying, so one of the petitioners is the Multiplex Association of India. I mean, to the best of my knowledge, they have not gone and challenged these price caps anywhere else in South India, right? So then as a society, what do we want to focus on? Do we want to save multiplexes or do we want to save films? Because film producers, the Film Chamber of Commerce is making out a case for small production houses, right, with smaller budgets, who simply cannot afford to finance and recover costs if their films if people don't come back to theaters to watch the films, right? So then, what are we, I'm 100% behind the price cap. I think that, as Dhananjayan sir said, we should have a price cap because it makes, watching movies in theaters is fun and it should be affordable and accessible to everybody.
No, for young people in this country or anybody, young, old, there are hardly in India, what are the forms of entertainment? Cricket matches, cricket is one big thing. Tickets are unaffordable. Food, if you want to go to restaurants, inflation is so high, you can't afford to go sit in a place. You're not allowed in parks. You can't afford tickets. Where do people go for entertainment?
Yeah, so in Chennai, Mr. Dhananjayan mentioned, an anime film. When I lived in Chennai for a few years, I used to go watch movies all the time. And I've seen amazing anime films also, all at $180. And it's an amazing experience to watch.
No, sir, I want to just come to one more point. See, these multiplexes, that what you were saying, there have been multiple cases saying that you are charging like 600 rupees for popcorn, 700 rupees for popcorn. At that time, the Supreme Court has said that it's a contract between the multiplex and the person who's buying it, and they are not going to intervene, but there can be some sort of a decision, right? So on one hand, you have overpriced food, water, of course, now people are allowed to carry. You also want the tickets to be overpriced. Mrs. Dhananjayan?
See, I'll put it across. Whether popcorn or anything, it's not compulsory. It's not necessary that you have to buy a popcorn or you have to buy a coffee. So I don't want to get into that particular area where, theaters have the prerogative to fix a price, because it is like a opportunity they give to the audience whether to buy or not. Compulsory water alone is a big issue, which is now freely allowed. People carry water bottle. Except that whether you carry food, they will not allow, because it is a consumption place. They wanted their own food to be consumed. So you don't buy. I'll put it across very clearly. Nobody, forcing you to buy. But ticket price is something like, every common man, should be able to watch it. You should be able to buy it. In Tamil Nadu, it's on one particular aspect, all of us together, whether it is producers or theatre owners and distributors, that we don't want to give a uncertainty to the audience. Like, suddenly the ticket price will be 500 rupees, suddenly 1,000 rupees. It's like a air ticket price. if there are 5 people book the ticket to Bangalore, immediately the ticket price will jump by 1,000 rupees. So nobody knows how it suddenly jumped by 1,000 rupees. Such kind of thing, cannot happen to a ticket price in cinema. Cinema, I decide to watch a film, it should be affordable. It should be fixed. I should know what is my cost. If I'm going with my family of 4 people, I should know it will cost me 800 rupees. That's it. Whether I buy additionally any consumable, it's my call. I can just go, after having all the consumables, I can eat all my food and then go to the theater, just watch the film and come out and 800 rupees. But I don't want to be going with the particular perception that, suddenly it might be 500 rupees, suddenly tomorrow, Sunday, evening show, it will be 1,000 rupees. Such kind of uncertainty will actually put off the audience to consider watching a film in a theater. People should be very, very comfortable. They should have a fixed mindset. This week, I want to watch a film because the ticket price is capped. It is fixed. I know this much will be my cost. I'm not going to a restaurant where I don't know what kind of cost will be fine for me to what dinner I'm going to have. This is, lakhs of people, crores of people who like to watch films in theater. That's the least entertainment medium they all want to have. That entertainment medium cannot be made it so, difficult for common man to afford. So in Tamil Nadu, Andhra, Telangana and Karnataka, Kerala is completely capped. Including Kerala is capped. People cannot charge exorbitant ticket prices in Kerala. You can't charge exorbitant ticket price in Andhra, Telangana. You can't charge in Tamil Nadu. The variable maybe, I'm talking about between Andhra, Tamil Nadu and Kerala, maybe 50 rupees here and there difference, depending on the state. But there is a cap. So everybody, the audience in Kerala today, why are they giving low cost something like 100 crore? A small state is giving 100 crore collection for a small film. Why they're giving it? Every audience is going and watching it because ticket price is just 100 rupees. We're all wanting to watch in a theater. Suddenly you are making it unaffordable by charging 500 rupees. The common man is going to just skip the film. They're waiting for, then they will talk about where the link is available for piracy to download, watch the film. Or they will look at, when it will come in OTT, I'll watch it at that time. So are you going to drive the audience to watch through piracy or through OTT whenever it comes? Or are you going to encourage the people to come to the theater? My appeal is we should encourage audience to come to the theater by making it easily affordable for every common man.
No, another thing is the movies also have to be good enough. Like if you make crappy movies and you still are going to charge 1,000 rupees, Loka, of course, it's by word of mouth, right? More and more people are going to theater. I went on the first day. I normally don't go to movie theaters first day and all, but I went because I read the review. I was like, hey, woman superhero, I have to go watch. And the theater wasn't exactly full, but then by then the word of mouth spread. So you make crappy movies, you also charge 1,000 rupees for that movie. Like so many times I've gone to the app and I'm like, okay, this movie I'm not going to pay 600. Oppenheimer was some 1,200 rupees in most theaters in Bangalore at one point of time. But I waited. Okay, and I'm like, I want to watch the movie very badly, right? So, but so many people just can't plan that. Like you take 4 people, that's it, 10,000 rupees gone. You have to travel this much to some place and 2 children you take, meaning 100% they'll want popcorn. There's no way you can tell them don't have. So any final thoughts, anyone on movie capping?
I think as an industry together, Karnataka should think it up, not one particular segment. My personal feeling is, it is my perspective based on other 3 states, but Karnataka may be very unique. It is a decision of the Karnataka industry. I'm talking about exhibitors, distributors, and the producers put together. Everyone should together look at the larger perspective, not just a short-term goal of protecting some few films which are made pan-India or made in a big budget. That's my personal appeal.
My conspiracy theory, which has no scientific basis, is that this is a complete setup match between the government and Hombale. Because why did they bring this amendment just before Kantara one's release, which has allowed Hombale to go and file this petition because a lot of their money is riding on this movie, right? So just before the movie comes, 1 or 2 weeks before, they bring this amendment, which gives an excuse for them to go to court and the court to strike it down. Okay, I just want to add one more thing about Hombale. The only times that we have written about Hombale is, of course, when Kantara and KGF released. And I don't know if you're aware of this, Shivasundar sir, but Hombale had a connection to the whole voter, you can't say voter chori, but whole voter deletion scam here in Karnataka.
Voter roll revision, yeah.
Yeah. So Hombale had a whole connection to the voter revision or the attempt to delete voters, in the sense that the agency called Chillimai, which was the one which was profiling voters and feeding that into an app, an investigation by Amalan Aditya Biswas found that Hombale had paid around 10 lakhs and 6 lakhs to Chillimai for some work. Now, Hombale is owned by a relative of BJP leader Ashwath Narayana. And at that time, we had asked Hombale, why did you pay Chillume? They said, no, it was for some advertising work. The investigation, I don't think, progressed any further to understand why a huge production company gave money to some random small foundation NGO.
Two-room NGO.
Yeah, two-room NGO, which was from Nelamangala. That guy came and started it here. And he had donated 25,000 rupees to Ashwath Narayana's foundations. So that's the only other time that we have covered Hombale. Do read that story on the News Minute. It's called Bengaluru Voter Data Scam. Hombale Film says they hired Chillume for film work. So yeah, we end the second discussion here. We have to go to the recommendations.
We'll start with Dhananjayan, sir.
Dhananjayan sir, what is your recommendation?
See, I read a lot of Tamil books, so I don't know whether Tamil book I can recommend, but I still want to say that, people who are there, please do read Velpari, the book on the King Pari by MP Lok Sabha MP Su Venkatesan sir. It's an amazing historical fiction. If you're able to read Tamil, please do read the Velpari book. That's I recommend because that's the reason one I read and recommended in my posts.
I would say Bell Hooks' book, All About Love. If you're wondering if it's some kind of love story or something, it's not. Just to hook you in, have you ever thought about being able to define what love is? Okay, so maybe that will prompt you to read.
I have two recommendations. One
Last
is,
time you gave seven recommendations.
Yeah, this time only two.
Huh.
One is Incomplete Justice by S. Muralidhar, retired Chief Justice of Odisha High Court. And recently one more, it's a report, not a book. Profit and Genocide, Indian Investments in Israel. It's compiled by Hajira Putige. I think everyone should read that. And I'm also suggesting friends to bring it in Kannada also. Only two this time.
Mine is again a podcast, Amit Verma's Seen and Unseen. This episode I'm recommending particularly, it's on caste and the census. It's from May 2025, but relevant to our conversation today. Pranay Kotasthane, I don't know if I got his second name right, and Raghu Jetli. They very beautifully talk about historical perspective and also why the caste census is so relevant.
How long is the podcast?
There's a reasonably short one, 3.5, 4 hours, I think. It's
And I
very
would
short.
also recommend Satish Deshpande's interview with Kunal Karma. And he beautifully explains how his caste privilege had made him a professor and not his individual merit. I would rather suggest that Satish Deshpande is a great sociologist. You might know.
Yeah, he's written an essay also on this long back. Yeah.
He's a fantastic podcast. Yeah.
So you have done 3 recommendations.
Sorry.
Okay. So I want to recommend an article written by Saurav Das, who was there on South Central last week. He has done an investigation for Article 14, in which he has looked at ED's investigations, I think around in a few years, where he looks at how many times the ED has done illegal arrest, ED has tortured people, lots of, inhuman interrogation, and to what lengths the ED has gone to just implicate people in cases. So that is my recommendation for the week. Thank you, Mr. Shivasundar. Thank you, Anisha. Thank you, Mr. Dhananjayan. Thank you to my producer, Bhuvan Malik.
You forgot Pooja.
Pooja, yes, thank you. Yes, thank you, Pooja.
Shreya, thanks, me.
Thanks to Ajay, our production assistant, our editor, Jasim Ali, Sukanya Shaji, who's down with COVID but still listening to the episode. And thank you to Yana, who does our socials. Like I started this episode with, remember, we are not doing extremely well as far as subscriptions go this month because I'm saying it's festive season, whatever it is. Do not forget to take a subscription. Go do it right now and also listen to D.Y. Chandrachud's interview with Srinivasan Jain. Thank you very much.
But let me now ask you about Article 370, which is another far-reaching verdict when it comes to the Federal Compact. And the worry is, and I'll read out from a Hindu editorial, which says that the most potent attack on federal principles was the court's unconscionable conclusion that Parliament, while a state is under President's rule, can do any act, even one with irreversible consequences, on behalf of the state legislature.
You're entitled to, the Hindu is entitled to say what they want to say. Let's face it, the Constitution does have certain features which are of a centralizing character. And for reason and for justification, the Constitution was a product of its times.
If a state is stripped of statehood and the centre simply responds by saying, open-ended assurance, no timelines fixed, and the court accepts that, isn't that concerning?
At some point of time, the government has to take a call on what's in the interests of the nation. because the government is justified in saying that the preservation of the nation and the integrity of the nation must rank above everything else.
No. But isn't that ascribing too much trust in the functioning of the government? I mean, the Supreme Court is meant to act as a check or a counter. Are you considering taking up a government post? Have you thought about that at all? Now that you're out of the saddle.
Well, I refuse to subscribe to any doctrinaire idea that, well, a retired judge should do this or shouldn't do this, everyone to himself.